chair haven't arrived. Let's call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Juniso,
Here.
Mrs. Rogers,
Here.
Mrs. Barnes,
Here.
Mrs. Barney,
Here.
Mr. Roach.
Here.
Okay, can we have a motion to approve the April 19th meeting minutes?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Juniso,
Aye.
Mrs. Rogers.
Aye.
Mrs. Barnes.
Aye.
Mrs. Barney. Mr. Roach.
Okay, we need a motion to ratify personnel appointments. We're pleased to announce that Michael Shrenchik is being appointed as the incoming authority manager. Shanna Durig has been as business manager. She's being promoted. And Beth Chioli, our billing clerk, is going to, is being promoted to billing clerk. She's our part-time personnel right now. So we can have a motion to ratify these appointments.
I'd be happy to make that motion to ratify those appointments. I'll second it.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Juniso.
Aye.
Mrs. Rogers.
Aye.
Mrs. Barnes.
Aye.
Mrs. Barney.
Aye.
Mr. Roach.
Okay, before we go any further, let's get into the comments from the floor. There's a couple of people here, I think, that have, want to address the board. Could you step up and give your name and tell us what you're here for?
My name is Tracy Goodell.
Could you please speak in the microphone?
My name is Tracy Goodell.
Okay,
Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
I am here with Jeff Titano on behalf of Charles Titano. And I'm here to discuss our sewage bill on several rentals. The bill we have at hand totals $18,153. And we have been working very hard since it's come into our hands to clear up all of these rentals and what is owed, and try to get the renters to pay what they, what they've owed you guys. Some of these renters are no longer with us. They are past gone. Some of these liens are many years old. But we've been working really hard to get these rentals caught up. We're asking for a reprieve on some of the costs that have accrued and the interest for these accounts. Through COVID, the renters stopped paying rent. We had to do evictions. You guys couldn't shut waters off. We couldn't collect rent. And things have escalated from all of these happenings. Several of these accounts are through COVID and through their through their non-payment. We weren't getting rent, you weren't getting sewage, and some of these were lien during COVID. We're hoping that some of these costs can come off of here. Two accounts that I have in front of me, one being 49 Beach Street, just in the amount of $4,242 for excessive usage. That was one of the renters. We called several times to try to have the water shut off, even before COVID, and trying to evict her and get her out of there. And the excessive usage totaled, we have a bill for $4,242.81. Again, water was not shut off. When the renter finally left, we were in the process of evicting her. She left with all the water running, left the house running, and didn't let us know that she left. So that accrued a good bit on the sewage just from that event. Another parcel, 16 Maple Street, we have a renter that was the 3 liens on the same property under the same name. So these are from 2018, two of them for 2018, one from 2020 during COVID, it was liened, all under the same name, 3 different liens with the same person in there. And water was unable to be shut off apparently, and we were unable to collect rents, and also, apparently this person was shutting off his account and then reestablishing it, and it was allowed to happen. His bill was $3,687.43. These 2 bills alone, almost $8,000 in bills. And we have several more properties that, again, we're trying to collect on. So I'm asking for reprieve, some sort of way to reduce these bills down. We've already put out thousands of dollars to you guys to clean up the existing late fees and everything else on the rentals to keep them current before they got liened. And we had thousands also that were lost during COVID. And we're hoping that you guys can come up with something that would help, even leaving us with the lien amount, something less than $18,153.
Don, can I address a few items? Yeah, for the benefit of the new board members, there are 3 new board members in play here, as well as, I'm sure you heard, we have a new manager as well. Near the end of last year, there was a lot of activity on the part of the authority under the category of collections. And as the new members even know from their limited experience, we weren't involved in the last few months of whatever activities took place. And there was a resolution that was adopted on October the 19th that had to do with collections. And some other collection-related resolutions exist. I had understood from talking to Walt that the lady and perhaps another gentleman would be present tonight with these issues, and I would fully support and recommend her question to the board be considered. I would just recommend that be considered for action at the June meeting to give the board the opportunity to see what exists presently by way of the resolutions and what thought process might have gone into the creation of those resolutions, or in particular one resolution. And it would give me an opportunity to catch up to some degree with Walt, the new manager, whomever, Dennis, on what took place in the final months of 2021. That way, the board would come in more informed at the June meeting and be able to make these kinds of policy determinations, because it's not so much legal as it is policy. So, and as Dawn and Darlene know, there was a lot of discussion attendant to what went into the resolution process. So I'm recommending, if the chair would consider, that the lady and gentleman, whatever their situations, be heard, but give this board an opportunity between now and the June meeting, and the manager as well, to work with us to entertain what we have and what is being asked, so that you'll be more informed at the next meeting. Walt seemed to be in agreement with that when I spoke with him. So, but again, I defer to you, Dawn, on how you want to handle with the rest of the board.
I think that would be
Shannon, you had some discussions on, I think, with some of this, didn't you, Mark?
I've actually met with them. They came in and we went over, each property and the tenants that were in there, and the majority of them were tenants that had left with an unpaid sewage. So then, therefore, we leaned it to try to collect.
Okay.
And that posed a problem with them being a couple months behind as well.
Yes.
For, we didn't know in the first place it was their bill, and then it became our problem, and that is what we're trying to clean up. and keep track of. But I'm worried also if we're waiting till June meeting, we received a letter that says that the water would be shut off on some of these properties, and I don't want that to happen because some of these contain newer renters that
Yeah,
are paying their bills and
I apologize, not to interrupt, I should have mentioned that too when I talked to Walt. I think that out of respect for the request and out of respect for everyone's consideration, Shannon, I'm sorry, including yours for your involvement now, but I don't think, if the board could just confirm that there won't be a shut-off over that next period, giving everybody,
Resolve it.
right.
We can,
stop the interest as well that is accruing at this point, because it's still, I guess there was a May.
I wouldn't yet recommend that, only because of it being policymaking, which may end up happening at the June meeting. But for now, I clearly would recommend that there not be a shut-off, but just give the board, the manager, the new business manager, myself, an opportunity to see what was developed in those last few months of the year. That's all.
Okay, well, it seems that the interest is accruing quite from April 7th to April 30th. There was another $50-some added to the balance. Is that simple interest? Is that simple interest based on the lien amount? Or is there interest going on along with all of the accrued interest? And
It
everything
should
is
be independent
compounding?
of the accrued interest. That would be my understanding.
It's simple,
Okay.
it's simple interest.
It's simple
simple
interest
interest.
on the, and
Yes.
that is
It's
being
gonna be on-
calculated.
It's gonna be on the lien and on the filing fees.
Right.
All the fees they're all tied to the lien,
Not compounding,
not
yeah.
not compounding the interest, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so that is
Now-
always the same loan amount being taxed.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, Mr. Chairman, I can speak to the fact that they have made attempts to clear up some of these current accounts that they've had. The reason they came in was they wanted to do a payment plan to try to get these liens off the book. So there is attempts being made, and they did meet with Shauna last Thursday to discuss all of this. So there are attempts on their part, after they received this second letter that we mailed, giving them until May 23rd to do a payment plan. So at least they're 1 foot ahead of the game here, I think. They're willing to try to get this resolved. And in all honesty, I believe some of these go back to a long time ago. And I know Jeff Ditano has only been involved with this stuff recently, I believe. Mr. Ditano, of course, is the owner of these properties, and unfortunately, he's having some health problems, but Jeff is now involved, and since he has been involved, they seem to be more attuned as to what's happening with this stuff.
And if I may, just also, this isn't a situation where I'm suggesting waiting until the June meeting to kick the can down the road. I just wanted to say that there was some meaningful thought put into where things are presently. However, this current board may see things differently from a policy standpoint. However you choose to act in June, I just would like the board to be more fully informed on their decision-making. And in addition to that, keeping in mind uniformity, because what you do for one, you do for all. And it's a heavier ask than just for one individual, because that's how boards have to look at things, equal protection, everybody has to be treated the same. And it may very well be that the wisdom of this board, after Shanna, your manager, weigh in or whatever, that this board honors her request in some measure, whatever. I just, again, stress that I think it would be a more healthy decision if it was done more fully informed. And in fairness, the board hasn't been part of those discussions to date. That's all.
Okay.
I'm just saying that would be the most prudent approach.
So just to recap, what I'm asking of you today is that these properties, some of them venturing back to 2001, like some of these, were $84 liens turned to $300 and some dollars over this time. And with these couple renters being able to keep getting service, and not being shut off, I would really like you to consider taking off just us paying the lien amount, and possibly legal fees, and taking off the end interest and penalties. That would help. That would put us down to around 12,000 instead of the 18,000. That's what I'm hoping to make it feasible because of the thousands of dollars we've already put out in cleaning up. And this has been quite an adventure, I'm sure, as for you guys as well, with COVID and being stuck in that position. I think a lot of the renters, the people renting, were stuck in this position of having these renters stuck in there and not having to pay, and they didn't pay. So that put us in a bad situation to go.
Hey, Dawn, there's one other item that I talked to Walt about, and I said that if we get together with, new manager and Shanna, whatever, get this outlined better, that one week.
I think you ought to meet with Walt, Shanna.
Yeah.
Whoever's, and Dennis, and then make a recommendation to the board of what you think is the right thing to do, and then we can evaluate it.
Yeah.
Either approve it at the next meeting.
Okay, and what Walt and I suggested was that 1 week before the meeting, we would get an email out to everyone on what we learned, what the information is, and
Yeah, we
what,
need to see something before we get in there, so we understand.
we'll do that a week in advance of the meeting, and that would give everybody that chance. Okay? I just wanted to clarify that.
That's all I needed. Thank you very much for giving us the time.
Is there anybody else?
Good evening, folks. My name's Larry LaRue. Most of you in here know me. I've lived in this township, Larry LaRue.
Thank you.
Lived in this township my entire life. I'm not trying to be, been here all my life, been a fireman for 52 years in this township. And I had my sewage put in, which I couldn't afford back then. It's been like, I'm trying to do the best we can. I mean, as far as our sewage bill, it's not behind. We pay it every month. But I have this $10,000 thing, and I live on $1,300 a month. And I'm not joking, and I know you guys probably don't really want me to say this, but unfortunately, I almost lost my wife 2 weeks ago, and I'm not, she almost died on me. And right now, I'm trying to get her back on her feet. And all I'm asking is to take this interest off on this. And technically, years ago, when they did that money, I had the sewage put in, and I told them when they did that money to just take that $3,000 and put it toward my bill. Well, it never got put there. Why? I have no idea. But all I'm asking for is some help. I mean, that's all I live on, and I just can't afford it right now. I mean, I can try to make somewhat of a payment, but I can't make the payment plan that they want. I mean, I could probably make, maybe like $100 a month or something, but that's it. I mean, I've talked to Shannon. I mean, I was over to the office. She knows I'm not behind on my bills or sewage bill. It's always been paid. And I know this was done years ago, and I'm not condemning anybody here. I respect everybody here, and I do. That's the way I was raised. I don't know why years ago, being that they did do that, when the bills first come out years ago, why they didn't just send a letter with the bill and say, look, we put this in and everything, and you got to pay an extra $20 or $30 on your bill till the bill's paid. And it would have been paid when I was working. And I mean, I don't know what else I can do. I mean, but seriously, that's all I'm living on. It's like $1,300 a month. And you guys all know that everything's going up in price. I mean, water, gas, everything. And it's getting harder and harder to function right now. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not behind on my sewage bill or nothing. I pay my bill every month. And Shannon knows this. I go right to the office and hand it right to her.
Shannon, what's he have a lien on his tap-in fee?
It's the
Is that-
tap-in, yeah.
And the connection also, or just tap-in?
Tap-in and lateral, I believe. Tap-in and lateral.
Yeah, because in fact, not to interrupt you, Shannon, when the gentleman come that day to do this, I told him, I said, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm putting this in. No. How am I going to pay you? Don't worry about it. It's taken care of. Well, I didn't think anything different. on it back in. And this is like over 10 years ago that this happened. And I mean,
Did you talk to them about a payment plan?
I told him that there was an option for a payment plan for 60 months. I did, and I gave him the figure that what it would be per month. I did tell him he had that option.
You know, the philosophy of this board going way back with these tap-in fees, a lot of people were not able to pay those fees. A lot, maybe 100, 120. So the only option we had as an authority was to file the municipal lien to protect the fact that we need those monies less. But there was never any effort to go after and to try to collect those fees. Our position was that they're there. When the property is sold, we will collect the fees. Then all of a sudden, come whenever this occurred, they decide they're going to go after these tap-in liens now. So, I mean, in all fairness, the previous boards never pursued that.
And I think one other thing from the time I've been here, that a lot of them did pay. There were a lot of them that were liened that paid.
And there
It wasn't as though we had 40 or 50 tap fee liens and 40 or 50 tap fee liens were never paid.
There were a lot of people, Ramel, that had the opportunity to go for the USDA loans.
Right.
And a lot of people got the loans or they got the grants. I'm going to say at least 30 or 35 clients received that. So it wasn't as though we weren't trying to help the people, we were. You're going to find the same problem with the village of Lawrence, because there are people there that are probably low income, and they're not going to be able to afford these types of fees. I can assure you of that.
Yep. And that's why all the more reason why I thought, a month for the new board members to consider would be prudent.
yeah, sir, I mean, I'm
That's
not
all.
being disrespectful to anybody here. I mean, believe me, that's one thing I do. My wife, she pays, utilities are paid. I mean, everything's first. That's priority with her. It's always been, I mean, in that, but I'm not, I mean, like I said, Shannon knows, she sees me all the time. I go right to the office, hand her the check, and it's paid. I've never missed a payment on my sewage bill, ever. I mean, if they would have just come to me years ago and sent stuff out to me, which they didn't, I'm not condemning anybody or nothing, but it was handled in the wrong way. They, like I said, they could have put it in a letter and said, look, we had this put in, like I said before, and then added another $20 or $30 on my bill, and it would have been paid off 10 years ago. Not wait 10 years and then come after me. When I was working, and I had the money back in, I could have paid it. I mean, paid some on it, but I've never missed a payment on my bill. And I mean, like I said, I only live on $1,300 a month, and it's pretty rough.
Okay, let us look at it, we'll get back to you.
I mean, what I want to know, you're not going to shut my water or anything off, right?
No.
Okay, that's, thank you. Now, maybe I'll be able to sleep a little bit. I mean, seriously, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I haven't slept, I can't function. I mean, you guys,
We don't shut water off on the non-payment of the tap fees, do we?
Well, that's the problem with the policy, I think. You need to look at the policy, because I think, Shauna, correct me if I'm not mistaken, that policy was approved by a previous board, and the
is
directive
true.
was to shut water.
I didn't want to interrupt the gentleman, but I thought it might be a good idea to give him and the lady peace of mind if the board would consider a motion to suspend, just so it's formal, to suspend the shut-off for this next month period while you consider the options. That way, it makes it a little easier for Shanna so that she has specific direction.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to suspend the shut-offs for a month?
I'd like to make that motion as stated.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Januso?
Aye.
Mrs. Rogers?
Aye.
Mrs. Barnes?
Aye.
Mrs. Barney? Mr. Roach?
Okay? That should be helpful then.
I appreciate that very much.
And we'll try to figure out something before the next meeting.
Yeah, try to do something. I mean, it's not that I don't want
I
to.
don't know what we can figure out, but.
Right, I understand, Mr. Judith. You know
I mean,
that.
I
You've
can't-
known me a long time.
Can't make a commitment, but.
Right,
we'll
I
see
understand
what
that,
comes
sir.
out by then. We'll
I know that. You guys do what you want to do, but I try to do something. I mean, but I just can't afford the payment plan that they have set up right now. we can try to work something out, give a little bit, at least go over and see Shannon and still pay, I'll go over and pay her, whatever, but let's try to work something out for me, please.
Okay.
Let's get that interest or whatever taken off here and try to get this where I can handle this. All right, thank you very much.
Before we move on, how many those liens and how many customers have paid since we started this back in January or?
There's a report in there, Shannon,
Yeah,
right?
there's the report.
You want to go over that, Shannon?
Yeah. Okay, the, tap-in and lateral liens. There's a total of 6 customers who paid those off completely.
Can she?
Can you talk in the
Is it,
microphone, please?
is it not on?
on.
Is that better?
I'm hard of
No.
hearing, Jen.
It should be on now.
Okay, is that better? Okay. Okay.
I don't think mine's
Thanks,
turned on,
Jack. Turn
the
it on,
button.
push it down, the button,
The blue one.
Blue button?
the little,
On the,
Oh, here.
okay, now.
Hello. Now I got you. I'm pushing everything but that blue button.
We're good. Thanks, Jack.
There was a bunch of people, but I understand a lot of them were paid off.
Okay, the tap-in and lateral liens, there was a total of 6 customers who totally paid their lien off.
It's in this.
There are 7 customers who are set up on a payment plan, and 17 customers who have not responded. There are a total of 27 liens that are not set up on a payment plan. The total for these liens are $149,848.77. And then there are a total of 9 liens that are set up on a payment plan. Before the payment plans were made, they totaled $43,404.54. And then currently, the total balance for these 9 liens are $34,714.07. Right, the unpaid sewage liens, there's a total of 3 customers who paid theirs off. 3 customers are set up on payment plans, and 23 customers have not responded to a payment plan. There are a total of 98 liens that are not set up on the payment plan. The total for these liens are $99,139.73. And there are 3 liens set up on a payment plan. Before the liens were made, they totaled $1,844.53, and currently they have a balance of $877.63.
Okay.
So what are we gonna do about the people that haven't responded at all? Are they gonna be in court, or is there,
Well, I think, if I may, Mr. Junius, I think that was the purpose of having everyone be brought up to date over the next month, so that everyone would be more informed for these kinds of questions and answers at next meeting. That's all.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. The next item on the agenda is a motion to advertise open positions, and that's a position for a wastewater operator and then a part-time customer service clerk. And I believe those are in your packet of information.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to advertise for these open positions.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Januso?
Aye.
Mrs. Rogers?
Aye.
Mrs. Barnes?
Aye.
Mrs. Barney?
aye?
And Mr. Roach?
Aye.
Okay. Engineers report.
Yes, good evening. Just one update on Lawrence. project. We are in position to advertise for bids. I would recommend opening bids in July. So sometime over the next month prior to the next meeting, I'll send out what the ad will look like. If the board's okay with it, that is our next step. I don't want to put it out yet because we're waiting on the one grant that is coming through Senator Casey's office. How that money's coming has not come out yet. They're working on it with folks in Washington, D.C. on how the infrastructure money is going to come. They had told Walter to have us call Penvest earlier in the week, which we did. Penvest said it's federal money. It's definitely not coming through them, that it has to come through most likely EPA. And the EPA doesn't have an answer. I just got a text from Larry. The senator's office just texted and said they're working on it. They know you're in position to go to bid, but we don't want to do that until we know if there's any requirements in the front end. Our biggest concern is they would have something in there that maybe would require Davis-Bacon wages.
You mean if there's a federal requirement that has to go into the specifications, is that what you
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, there could be some requirement in there. So they know it's very important. So our next step is advertising for bids, and we would open in July for multiple contracts, so.
And on the last meeting, you had raised the question about the perfection of the takes, which would be
Yes.
condition precedent to having the Penvest loan, et cetera. We are down to 4. There are, these are the condemnations, the takings that have been filed. And there are 3 that are posted because they were just properties where the lien holders that we have to notice did not respond. And there's 1 other property that until June 11th, unless there would be preliminary objections filed, would be all that remains. So come June the 12th, we should have perfected all the takes, including the takes that are attendant to the sewage treatment plant and the entrance to the sewage treatment plant, the universe of them. And at next meeting, we'll pass out a report to everyone with the final list of all the takes. We'll compare that, with Kevin's notes, and that should have it. We should have all of our condemnations in place.
Okay.
For future reference, I'll bring something else up in my
So
report on that. but-
when do you advertise for bids, Kevin?
If the stars align and what Ramel said happens, the 13th, 14th of June, put the ad out, and we'd open bids the end of July. If contractors complain, we could extend it another week or 2, and then review them with the board at the August meeting. And we get the report out. I'd like to have it out a couple weeks before, so that you have time to digest the numbers.
You don't need a motion to advertise or anything like that, do you?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
This is an authorized project, so as long as the board's okay with it, we'll get the ad ready and put it out after we hear from Ramel. So it's an online bid too. We bid through Quest. So the bids and bid tab will be instantaneous. So whenever we open bids, that day you'll have the results from the bid tab because we do it that way, so.
Okay. Well, as soon as you find out about the federal requirements, I'd like you to get those bids advertised ASAP.
Okay, we can do that. So, and I'll keep the board updated on that through the office, as soon as they tell us what the requirement is. So we've been putting a lot of pressure on between Walt and us, but they just don't know yet, so.
Yeah, I saw the emails that went out on it.
Yeah. That's all I have, thank you.
Solicitors report.
Yes, just a couple items. Follow up on Kevin's report. I wanted the board just to consider for future reference, no action tonight, what, if anything, the board may choose to do regarding Board of Viewers hearings. What that means is that at the end of the condemnation period, when we have perfected the takes, we then can do our work and do whatever has to be done, bids, et cetera. In addition to that, you have an option, if you choose to petition the court for an appointment of Board of Viewers to consider damages to whatever property owner's properties may lie. Or you could not do that. Whether you do or whether you don't, the property owner has the right to do that. And there's a statute of limitations on that. The last time the board was involved in a condemnation process, the board chose not to file petitions with the Board of Viewers and just let it lie. Not one person presented to the Board of Viewers. So we didn't have to deal with it. So at some point, you'll want to make a decision as to whether or not you do or don't want to do that. There's risks to both sides we can explain later, but that's kind of the epilogue to the story, which will follow once Kevin does the bids, okay? Another thing I wanted to mention is that we, this afternoon, received a formal demand from the main plant site property owner, Mr. Nasser, through his lawyer. It's a complicated request that he's put out. I'd like to discuss it with the new manager, with Walt, with Shanna, Kevin, et cetera, so we have all our facts right. But it looks like it's moving in the right direction right now for a settlement of that property acquisition. For the benefit of the new board members, the plant site really contemplates 3 different entities. There's Mr. Nasser that has the dominant area of the property where the plant will sit. There are 2 individuals, Mr. Vono and Mr. Donnell, that have property at the entranceway to the industrial site where the plant will be, and they have some ingress and egress rights that we have taken. And then there's an equity owner, Mr. de Blasio, who Mr. Barnes and I met with multiple times. Mr. de Blasio owned all of the property when we first started negotiating, and he parceled some of it out to Mr. Nasser and some of it to Mr. Donnell and Mr. Vono. But he held the paper. He's the equity owner in it. So he's in play also to some degree. So there are 3 camps, if you will, that we're negotiating with. And we've been making some progress on all 3 fronts. It's been a combination of Walter, Mr. Barnes, and previously myself and Kevin, and trying to work through some of the logistics. And Kevin's been able to navigate the non-monetary issues for us very well. There's a few that remain. Bottom line, next meeting, we should have a pretty concrete position that you could deal with as to whether or not you do or don't want to try to amicably resolve, okay? So we're getting close. That's with Mr. Nasser. With Donnell and Vono, it's a much smaller amount of money that's going to be at issue, which we should be able to resolve. And that Mr. de Blasio shouldn't be a problem. It's just that we have to deal with him too when we make our final pitch for negotiations. So the only other thing I wanted to mention to the board, I've previously brought the new board members up to date on the CHJA litigation, which is still pending. It's still in the procedural stage. Nothing significant to report. But there's another piece of litigation that involves Mr. Foltz and the TOA development. We've been brought in as a party in that case. We have defense counsel through the insurance company representing us. And we have been involved marginally because not all of the claims are covered by insurance. The insurance that we do have is defense only. It's not indemnification. But we've taken a position that we shouldn't pay any money. And recently, both TOA and the insurance company have put up money to try to settle it. In my discussions with Mr. Giannusso over the last handful of months, there were some early requests that our board put up some significant money to try to settle the case. Mr. Gianuso did not want to put up any money, and it's turned out to be the right decision so far because others are putting up money instead of us, and it seems as though it's pretty close to settlement based on what we've heard. So I'll probably have more information on that at next meeting as well. That's all I have. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Ramel. Okay, the business manager's report.
Okay, the first item we have would be the accounting system status update. We are still working with Guthrie in bringing the books to be able to audit for 2021. I met with them today, and he indicated by the end of next week, his work should be completed. We also met today with the new auditing firm. And basically, they're ready to start their work, waiting on the completion of the work being done by the Guthrie Group. So hopefully this will all be moving forward. Hopefully by June 1st, we will be able to start our audit.
And if I could add on to that, Dennis, I met with Dennis and Walter and Mark Turnley, who's doing the audit. And I told him I wanted two things. I wanted one to verify that our accounting system is on the proper basis, the accrual basis. And he sort of indicated he thought we were doing all right with that. The second thing was that I wanted him, as a part of his audit, to write a letter or in some way communicate that the financial situation of the authority is in good stead and, in accordance with accounting standards and all them fancy words some guys use. But the bottom line is that to give assurances to this board and to the supervisors that we're financially stable. And we may have to do that by inviting the supervisors to the meeting when he presents the audit, because he admitted they don't like to put those things down on paper because they have rules that they got to follow. But anyway, I think we can accomplish that in one fashion or another.
May I ask, on the bookkeeping services we had talked about, the hours that were needed for that service up to the audit point, and then ongoing bookkeeping services, is there a plan to reduce the hours?
You're talking about from Guthrie?
Guthrie.
Yeah.
I think that's our goal. I was a little concerned as to how long it has taken them. They're almost now completing 3 months. And unfortunately, that's costing this authority a sizable amount of money. So I'm amazed that it's taken them as long as it has to bring those books current. But again, I'm not sure where he's at. He indicated he's 75% completed on this general ledger. Well, 2.5 months, I have to question that.
Yeah, I do too.
Is he not working on it all the time?
He's there usually 3 days a week, usually on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But there are some days, there was one period where he never showed for 2 weeks. So,
Without notice?
yes, well, that, basically, we would communicate with email. And he would say, I'm not going to be able to make it on this particular day. And I said, well, you'll be coming in on Friday. And he'll say, yes, but I'll get back to you. And then Friday comes and no show, and I'm sending another email saying, are you coming in today? So it's been a pretty, it's improved a lot. And I was glad to hear him say today with Mark, this new auditor, basically telling me that Guthrie should be able to finish their work by the end of next week. So that was encouraging.
And that's from a different company saying that?
Yes,
Okay.
that's from the new auditing.
And we are not out of compliance on our audit schedule for them starting in June?
Well, there are reports due to Harrisburg, and Mr. Gianuso heard him say this. The DCED report is due by June 30th.
And he thought.
He should be able to make that timeline.
No problem.
Okay.
And he himself, the owner of this company, will be doing the actual audit. It's his first,
Yeah,
it's his
he's gonna
first
do it
audit
himself.
with us, and basically, he said that he would be involved in the audit every day that he's gonna be in here.
Okay, I will be anxious to see what that outcome is on the audit and what this bookkeeping service has done for us. But I think at the next meeting, we should address those hours going forward and what the need is, you know,
Well, hopefully,
It'll be done,
he'll be done.
yeah,
it'll be done.
Hopefully, he's gonna be done.
okay. I thought that there was some ongoing need for some tutorial on that. Do you feel secure in what you know with the system to pick up from where he finishes?
I think Shauna and I will be working together on that.
Okay,
And
With his knowledge and.
I'm not just gonna leave without her being
what I
able to-
wanted to hear, Dennis.
You just committed yourself, Dennis.
Yes, that's the
Nice move, Aaron.
We're all witness.
Played well, played well.
And by the way, Romel, thanks for Mark's name, because I was impressed by him.
Thank you. Mark was the auditor for North Fayette Township for probably 20 years or 25 years, and I've seen his work in other authorities. I don't know if you used him too. There you go.
Very pleased with his service. We had his water. I had quotes up to $30,000. He did our audit and our single audit well. So, very pleased with the work.
That's, you know what, that's reinforcement, but I would say that, you know, I know there has been some concern on the part of the board about whether things have been done right and all that. My sense would be that if Turnley's working here and Turnley doesn't find problems, there aren't problems. You know, he's that, I appreciate you saying that because,
He spent a lot of time explaining things and trying to put it in English,
Yeah.
which was good.
he's a professional. There's no doubt about it. He's solid. Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda would be to discuss revision of the vacation policy for full-time employees. Currently, that policy is during the first year of employment. It's 1 year for the first year of employment.
1 week?
1 week for the first year of employment. There was discussion, I guess, during this recent hire that that should be changed to reflect the marketplace, and it should be changed to offer a 2-week vacation during the first year of employment. So I would ask the board that they consider authorizing that change to that vacation policy. A lot of these policies haven't been changed for a long time.
Yeah, you know, something that the board may want to consider at some point, I know Dawn and I have talked about it, is taking a good look at, you know, your policy manual. I don't even know that we have ever had the authority to be able to do a policy manual. I don't know what you have in place, but do you recall, is there actually a policy manual, Dennis?
There is, and I think it dates back to 2014.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Oh, it's older than that.
Yeah, it's
Older than
probably
that.
older than that, yeah. But that's something that, you
Yeah.
know, be helpful, I think.
I
This
would-
is the only authority that we have that hasn't really updated that
I would
in a
agree.
while,
I think
you
that
know.
needs to be done.
So, yeah. We can talk to the group about that. So.
But anyhow, we'd ask the board to give consideration to changing that vacation policy from 1
Right,
week.
right now, we're just talking about changing that first.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have a motion to change the vacation policy for full-time employees to 2 weeks for the first year.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Januso?
Aye.
Mrs. Rogers?
Aye.
Mrs. Barnes?
Aye.
Mrs. Barney?
Aye.
And Mr. Roach?
Aye.
And the next item, I think, Mr. Chairman, we've already covered. Discussion regarding customer non-response to the payment plan.
Right.
Offer to satisfy outstanding liens. I think we've already covered that with the previous discussion.
Right.
That's all that I have.
Okay, we have any questions or comments on the correspondence? Can we have a motion then to approve payment of expenses and transfer of funds?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Januso,
Aye.
Mrs. Rogers,
Aye.
Mrs. Barnes,
Aye.
Mrs. Barney,
Aye.
Mr. Roach.
Aye.
Okay. Favorite time of the day here.
I'll make that motion.
You want to make a motion for adjournment? Okay, Craig made the motion for adjournment. Who's going to second it?
I'll second that motion.
And as
Hey,
usual,
excuse me, before we adjourn.
Okay.
all right,
Jack King, the fellow that is recording and everything, he needs the agenda for the CTMA at least 24 hours before the meeting. He hasn't been getting it. And I don't understand why, because his emails is, I email him and it's the same
why
thing.
does he need our agenda?
So that he can be here for video and so on and so forth, and put it on the website. He puts it on the website.
Whose website? The supervisor?
Cecil Township, yeah.
Well, I guess probably the reason why is because I don't know they ever asked us for it.
Oh, yeah, they have. And I think what happened is Walt sent it a couple times and it didn't get through, or what happened, Dennis?
Yeah, I think Walter's been involved with that. So I can't speak as to why it hasn't been done, but I know Walter's been involved. And I'm sure when Mike's now in charge, he'll be able to guarantee that that's sent over properly.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
24 hours.
Thank you, yes.
Anything that you're gonna take a motion on or anything like that has to be advertised 24 hours on your website or whatever. It has to be on.
Well, it's on our website, I believe.
Should be our,
I didn't know it had to be on the supervisor's website, too.
But the supervisors also have the videos of
yes.
the Board of Supervisors, the CTMA, I think the Planning Commission, and I know the Zoning Hearing Board. All those videos are on the Cecil Township website.
Yes.
That's one reason I haven't been videoing anymore, Dennis, or I didn't get anybody to do it.
I'll make a note to Walter, but I think Mike will be probably involved with that as we move forward. Thank you, Darlene.
Okay.
You're welcome.
We have to do a roll call on that.
We gonna adjourn?
We had a motion for adjournment, yeah.
I'll make that motion.
No, Craig already made it.
Craig already made it. I'll second it.
Thank you.
All right, that's fine. No, it's on the other end of the building,
This way.
that way.
No,
Go out the door and go left.
no.
Go right.
Go right.
Go right.
Go right, when you go out the door, go
Oh,
right.
she wants the police.
Please.
Go
Oh, I'm
right.
sorry. I thought you meant the voting. Generation, come on, vote too. We need voters.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anybody there to even let her in.